everybody, and welcome to episode 6 of the second season of the Integrity Racing Show. I'm your host, Todd Thomas. Tonight we're joined by Jacob Fife and our sponsor from last night's Yakes 87 at Pocono, Joseph Yakes as well. So, Joseph, as the sponsor of last night's race, you were trying to get some publicity out there for the YouTube channel. Tell us a little bit about yourself and about the channel and what you're trying to get out there to the members of the league.
Well, I started the Yakes 87 channel. It was about a year and a half ago was when I did my first upload. And the cool thing about the channel is it's something I do. It's a lot of fun, and the goal out there is to try to entertain people the best I can with the channel. And I try to advertise it as much as I can, not only because it gives me something to advertise, but I also like to help out with the league here and everything we have. And some of the members of our league are some of my biggest supporters of my channel and what I do. And that's kind of just like my way of saying thank you to all of those guys there.
All right, so if you're somebody that doesn't know a whole lot about your channel, what kind of games can they expect to see? Or is it just games? Do you do other types of activities on the YouTube channel? What is maybe a new user that's never checked out your channel before? What can they expect whenever they go and visit?
You could expect a large variety of different things. I mostly play a lot of single-player based games. I do play a couple of I played some multiplayer games. So if anyone would like to join me for some co-op video making, let me know. I'm always open to new opportunities there. And yeah, like I just finished up a game, just string an episode out to that. That's kind of been my big series I've been focusing on lately, and that's just a really cool story-driven game.
All right, so let's talk about you yourself. How'd you get into sim racing? You've been on the show before. You are a long-time supporter of the league, so you've been on the show before as a sponsor. But for somebody that's maybe watching for the first time or a new member of the league, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into the sim racing community.
Well, my first experience with a racing game was actually NASCAR 98 on the PlayStation 1 way back when. And from there it evolved. I played a lot of Grano and a lot of the NASCAR 05 and 06 games. And I stumbled upon iRacing. It was kind of when we were like all racing games where there really hadn't been a good NASCAR game since like 2008. And it was 2011. I was kind of looking for something cool, and I was actually referred to iRacing by my dad, and he showed me the list of cars, and I saw these cool short and the NASCAR stuff, and I was like, hey, that sounds pretty cool. And that's kind of how I got into it, was just because I was really looking for some short track stuff, and that wound up running the Cup car here with the Integrity.
All right, so that's a quick little bit about Joe's channel. So check that out at YouTube.com. You can do a search there for Yakes87 and find his channel pretty quickly. I know I was able to find it pretty quickly. So go there, subscribe, check that out, and thanks to Joseph for being a sponsor for the Yakes87 at Pocono. So let's start with something we normally start with the Cup Series, but let's actually shift gears a little bit this week. And we're actually going to start with discussions on the truck league, and they raced at Gateway. Just took the checker flag about 15 minutes ago. Matthew Wright gets the victory tonight. He had a lot of speed at a very fun race. Leads 104 laps. Guillermo Alvarez, finishes second, leading 4 laps. James Hudson had a lead late in the race and then lost his tires, so he falls to third. Joe Slama finishes fourth. After qualifying on the pole, if I'm not mistaken. Actually, James Hudson had the pole, so my mistake on that. Jacob Fife recovers from an early incident to finish fifth. Maxine Theriault, who's always strong and consistent, finishes sixth. Cody Smith seventh. Lance Gentles eighth. Daniel Holloway ninth. And Nick Zonter 10th. So, Jacob, another good week in the All-In Truck Series with very few cautions. It's this, same song, different verse as we talk about the Truck League. A lot of fun, strong racing door to door, but able to keep their cars pointed in the same direction.
Yeah, I really enjoyed tonight. I made the joke in I made the joke in the race tonight that if it weren't for me, there'd be a lot less cautions around the truck series and it'd be even cleaner. I think I'm the one that causes the most cautions over there for some reason. But aside from me, it was a very good race tonight. I enjoyed racing. There was some strategy that played out through the course of the event. We went just short of halfway, if I remember correctly. Green flag with no cautions, and then had a couple quick cautions that made people figure out whether they could use their 3-set allotment of tires, and I was very surprised that the tires held out as well as they did. I wasn't able to use my last set like I was planning on. I tried to put one in the bank, but we went green for the last, I want to say 40 laps or so, and I was actually able to run back down the guys. I'd fallen back as a start, but I was able to run back down the guys at the end and grab fifth from Maxime, I think with about 5 or 6 laps to go. So all in all, great race. Congratulations to Matthew Wright, who grabbed the win, and Guillermo as well. They both had a really solid run up at the front and were pretty much the class of the field, with the exception of Hudson, who was very fast as well. And I think just at the end, the tires kind of fell off from him. But otherwise, some great racing. I definitely enjoyed it. And we're looking forward to next week when the Truck Series hits Iowa. It's pretty similar to what we'll be doing in the Cup Series. Um, it's going to be a little bit shorter as far as the amount of people, and the weeks are going to be a little bit different. Not, excuse me, not the weeks. The amount of people we eliminate, I guess it should be the way I put it. It's going to be 10 drivers, as long as they have a minimum of 9 starts during the regular season, and the provisionals, like the Cup Series, don't count. I believe we'll be eliminating, I want to say 2 or 3 people each round. I think we'll have 3 race rounds for that, and then we'll, as similar to the Cup Series, when we hit Homestead, it'll be down to 4, and we'll battle it out for the win.
All right, and so now hopefully my mic is working and everybody at home can hear me. So that kind of wraps up the All-In Truck Series. Hope you can join us next Tuesday night at Iowa, as Jacob said earlier. Should be a great race. I think Iowa is one of a lot of people's favorite racetracks, so hopefully you can join us for that. Also, Jacob, some sponsorship news. We just got done with the Yakes 87 at Pocono, and you're here to announce, I guess, a new sponsorship coming up that you maybe hinted at in the last show that you have a little bit more details on that you can tell us now. So go ahead and share with the rest of the league that information.
Yeah, it's something we brought up, like you mentioned last week, and we want to kind of give a little bit of more of a hint to what we'll be doing for Sonoma, which will be one of Alan Roll's sponsored races. And of course, I need to find my little piece of paper. I had notes, but now I've lost them. But basically, Alan Roll will have his sponsored race um, here in 2 weeks at Sonoma, and it'll be named the Alan Roll Institute of Grammar and Punction. Or no, that wasn't it either. What was it? I'm killing this now. What, Todd? You know what was the?
I honestly don't
Trying to remember.
remember. I think it was the
I'll try
Allen
to remember.
Institute of Grammar Study, Allen Roll Institute of Grammar Studies, or something like that.
Grammar, yeah. But it's basically a fictional institute that Alan's starting, um, and we'll be sharing some things about the institute during the course of the week, and things you may be able to learn through Alan's new institute as we prepare to go to Sonoma. So we'll have some things planned and during each day of the week leading up to Sonoma. So you'll have to stay tuned on Facebook and on other social media platforms. So so just be on the lookout for that, and I'll keep digging for what the actual name's supposed to be. Let me I'll look at it. It's in here somewhere.
So while Jacob's looking at that, let's go
Yeah.
ahead and move on to use the same pun that I've used already tonight. Shift gears to Pocono, and the Cup Series that we had this past Monday night at Pocono. Pretty strong run from Christian Schallner, as one would expect. His second race in the league, and unofficially wins his second race. Officially his first race. Leads a dominating 65 laps of the race. Pretty badass performance, if I must say, from Christian there. David Rattler finishes second. Adam de Blasio third. The de Blasio brothers back-to-back third and fourth. A very strong run. I believe maybe the best run of Eric de Blasio's career. I know he's pretty excited to finish fourth. Cole Landis rounds out the top five. Matt Bontempi sixth. I myself made a big mistake late in the race, coming off a 3 and finished seventh. Caleb Eisenhower kind of recovers from some early damage to finish eighth, so a good run back through the field for him. Guillermo Alvarez finishes ninth, last year's winner of the race, and then Brandon Coppinger rounds out the top 10. Jacob, as the sponsor of the race, you had a little bit of a promotion that $10 went to the driver that finished highest up with a Yakes 87 paint scheme. I wasn't able to keep up with all the drivers. I know that you maybe know a few of the drivers that ran a Yakes 87 paint scheme and who won the competition overall.
Yeah, we had a good bit of drivers who were able to participate in that program that Yakes was able to come up with for Monday night's race. And obviously myself ran with the scheme, and I know Joe Slama, I want to say both de Blasio brothers, Greg Trago, just to name a few, participated. Adam de Blasio, with a third place finish, was able to come up and was able to take that up. So we'll be giving him $10 either through iRacing credit or PayPal, whichever he prefers. So like I said, that's a really cool deal. I'm glad we were able to come up with something different that we haven't done before for a sponsored race. And like I said, previously, I look forward to working with Yakes again, as we'll be doing the other Pocono race later in the year as well. So that'll definitely be a good deal.
Joe, as the sponsor of the race, a lot of Yakes 87 paint schemes. That had to make you feel good to see that all across the track last night.
Really cool to see like a lot of the league members. I think we had maybe 10 cars, probably more than that, saw out there running Yakes 87 logos and paint scheme and all that. Really cool to see, the league members step up and take part in some of the fun I added. I know in addition to the paint scheme promotion we had going on, we did extend the race by levels, and so thank you, Jacob, for that. That had a lot of interesting ways to shape out the race, because you have those extra 7 laps, which is quite a bit of distance at Pocono Raceway. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to. We're actually sponsoring the next Richmond race, not the Pocono race, so I'm really looking forward to that one coming up. We've got another special promotion, very similar to what we did for this one, and I can't wait to get that announced once we kind of work through all the details on that.
All right, and now for a little bit of the bad news is as part of our recap of the Cup Series race. Looks like we had 8 cautions pretty early in the race. The first half of that race didn't necessarily go as well as we'd like. Jacob, here we are again. We're talking about the same thing. I said same song, different verse once again. The Truck Series seems to be able to run these green flag laps consistently, and the Cup Series seems to have a lot of trash in the first half of the race, and then everybody seems to recover in the second half. Your thoughts on that development as we've been monitoring throughout the year?
Well, I'm glad you didn't ask me this question last night because I might have had a different answer. I mean, to some degree, it's part of it. I understand that, but by the same token, we can do better. It's that simple. It's not difficult. We have the ability, and we've shown that we can do it at times. This is a matter of if we, as a collective group, want to. You know, it just takes taking that extra lap, taking that extra second to let off the throttle or give room here or there, or even at the simplest level, communicate with one another what you're doing on the track. It's not like that's prohibited in any way, shape, or form. It's just when the talking goes into a non-constructive way is when we have issues and we try to limit severely. So we're going to some tracks here soon. Mission's a good example of this, where there's no excuse for us not to have limited amount of cautions. So it's just a matter of people getting in their heads to race a certain way, and it can't be this. I think we've gotten to the point now where we've shown that we can't run balls to the walls for however long the length of the race is and survive. We for whatever reason, we can't do that right now. So people just have to get it in their head that they have to be patient. They have to give more room than they usually do, and find a different way to run. I mean, I think, granted, we have a couple people on appeal currently, but you're going to have 3 people suspended this week, which is what we don't want to see, but that's the course of the rules. That's supposed to be a hindrance for people causing cautions, is to be suspended and have consequences for that. And hopefully drivers, especially those of you who are running for points, are looking at the bigger picture down the road when, if you get to 5 cautions, you're suspended for, 2 more races on top of that. And it kind of snowballs, and that will at some point catch up with you. So it's something that each driver has to individually look at and kind of look in the mirror a little bit and say, hey, what can I do to improve my racecraft and how I race out on the track, and just be smarter about how we race, because we have way too many talented people from top to bottom in this league for us not to have cleaner racing overall, period, but especially in the beginning of the races. For whatever reason, we're experiencing way more issues than we should.
All right, so let's and here's the good news for everybody. Sonoma's in 2 weeks, and it's impossible to cause a caution at Sonoma, so we're going to be good there, right? So let's transition to a little bit of a chase update. Let everybody know no changes in the winners as far as chase prospects concerned, since Christian Schauder is ineligible for the chase. So everything with the winner stays put. Not a whole lot of movement in the point standings this week. But one of the bigger things to take note of here as we look at the point standing is there's only 12 races left, and as of right now, only 6 people are locked in based off of a win. So a lot of different scenarios for people to points their way into the playoffs this year, as opposed to past years where maybe you needed to win a race to get in. We're looking at probably 8 or 9 guys are probably going to be able to points their way in. Currently on the outside looking in, Nick Treebush is 6 points behind Caleb Eisenhower for the final spot. Tied with Kent Wetherill as well. Kent takes a little bit of a fall to 6 points out. Alan Fajari is 8 points out, but Matt Bontempi makes his way into the final 4 with a strong fifth place finish at Pocono and gets himself onto the top 20. So good luck to those guys trying to hunt down every point as they try to get themselves prepared to make the playoffs in the 2017 season. So 12 races left until the playoffs start. Should be an interesting chase hunt. We do want to really quickly throw not a sponsorship plug, but a little plug in for our broadcasters that did their first broadcast last night. Rubber Duck Racing on YouTube. You can search that as well, just as you did the X87 channel earlier tonight. The Rubber Duck Racing page is here on YouTube, and you can see the X87 broadcast last night. Those guys were really in for the long haul last night since the race took about 2.5 to 3 hours, so we want to appreciate them. And then did a great job. I was able to check out about 15 minutes of the broadcast, and it sounds like they had a couple different commentators, which is always nice, and did a really good job. Joseph, I don't know if you were able to check out the stream or the broadcast of the race. What do you think of Rubber Duck?
I got a chance to check out a little bit of it today. I thought they did a really good job. They even pulled me in at the end of the race, and I did a little interview with the guys. They were really fun to talk to, and I'm looking forward to working with them the rest of the season here.
Yeah, I saw on Facebook, if anybody's out there watching, you've probably seen it on Facebook already, but I know that they did request that anybody that is either a sponsor of a race or finishes in the top 3 hang around after the race and TeamSpeak so that they can try to bring into the TeamSpeak and do an interview with you, and it sounds like they did a great job there. Jacob, you've had more discussion with those guys about contractual issues, so you've been working with them a little bit more closely than the rest of the league. What can you tell us about the channel and your thoughts on how their first race went?
Well, off the top, I have to piggyback off of what you said. Hopefully, um, we put them in through the grind for their first week, given the length of the Pocono race Monday night. But all in all, I think they did a very good job. I was able to, as well, to watch about the last 25 laps or so earlier today, and I think they did a great job, and things flowed pretty well. There was no major bugs or anything or missteps or nothing that jumped out at me as far as the stream went or the broadcast itself goes. The commentating was very well done, and I can't, it's definitely a start of a really good relationship so far. In talking with Jeff, we've had pretty open communication. I know when I worked with Daryl in the past, it was pretty much an open door policy, and I think this will be pretty much the same way in working with these guys. So I'm definitely looking forward to the rest of this season with them, and I think as we go along, I'm sure we'll find ways to improve both on our end, hopefully with the racing, and I'm sure the broadcast will keep getting better. So I'm looking forward to it.
All right, so now's the end of the show where we start to look forward a little bit. Next week, the Cup Series will go to Michigan, as a matter of fact. The defending champion at Michigan last year is the guy on your monitor right now, as a matter of fact. Joe, have you done any practice laps at Michigan? What are some of your thoughts on the Michigan as we go up there to Detroit this Monday night?
Well, Michigan's a fun track. It's a track I've had a lot of success at. I haven't run any lap yet, and I'll have to get on that. So.
I don't like Michigan. I honestly do mean that when I say it. I hate Michigan. I don't enjoy it. The entry to 3 always feels a little awkward to me. I've driven a lot of laps in the setup trying to learn some open setups. It seems a little bit better than it did last year on the entry to 3, not nearly as loose on entry, but the rest of the track drives pretty similarly. And then the All-In Truck Series goes to Iowa next Tuesday night. Jacob, what can we look forward to at Iowa with the truck? I haven't driven that in a couple years.
I think it'll be a good race once again. Everything that we've done at Iowa previously through our years at Integrity, a lot of space to work with. I think it's somewhat similar to what we did tonight at Gateway in terms of which was actually surprising for Gateway, I have to say, is the amount of space and room and lines you could run to get different runs uh, through the corners. I think you'll see the same thing in Iowa. Obviously, it's a little shorter track than Gateway, so maybe a little bit more bumping and banging, but hopefully not too much. But I think you'll have really good racing. I think you'll have drivers who will use the tire strategy once again to work their way up to the front and hopefully maintain position. So it'll be a good race. I'm looking forward to it, and hopefully we'll get a good crowd showing up for the truck races still.
All right, so that's going to finish up episode 6 of the Integrity Racing Show Season 2. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you Monday night at Michigan and then Tuesday night at Iowa. Have a good night, everybody.